Okay, the lesson for today, the video is on solving systems of equations using substitution. So it's 6-2. I'm going to make a mistake on the video today on one of the problems. I want you to find that mistake and tell me what it is tomorrow in class. Okay, so the top red definition or statement is very important. It says the goal when using substitution is to reduce the system to one equation that has only one variable. Then you can solve this equation and substitute into an original equation to find the value of the other variable. Okay, so you've learned this before. We're just going to do some examples. Example number one, I have a system here, and I'm going to plug in x plus 5 for y in the top system and solve it. So that would give me the equation x plus 5 is equal to 2x. And then I'm going to solve that for x. So since I have one variable now, I can solve it. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. I get 5 is equal to 1x, or just x. So x is equal to 5. Once I have 5, that x is equal to 5, I can plug that back in and figure out what y is equal to. I'm going to plug it into this equation, which would give me y is equal to 5 plus 5. So y is equal to 10. Now my answer here is statement 5, the ordered pair 5, 10. 5, 10. I want to check it by plugging it into these original two problems. I plug 5 in here, and it would be 5 times 2, that's 10, it would work. I plug 5 in here, 5 plus 5 is 10, it would work there as well. So let's do two more examples. If you've done this before and you understand it, I want you to pause it and to do the examples on your own and see if you get them right. If not, then you can just watch and follow along. Now, in substitution, one of the equations is typically solved for a variable. Like right here, the second equation is already solved for y. So I'm going to take this and plug it in directly for y, straight above it. So the new equation would be on top 2x plus x minus 4 is equal to 5. Now I have an equation that I can solve. So I'm going to combine 2x and x to be 3x minus 4 equals 5. Add 4 to both sides. I get 3x is equal to 9. So x is equal to 3. Again, once I solve that, I can plug that back in and solve for y. So now I know that y is equal to 3 minus 4. So y is equal to negative 1. So my answer here, or solution, would be 3, negative 1. And I always want to plug it back in and check and see if it would work. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 plus negative 1 is 5, so it works there. 3 minus 4 is negative 1, so it works there. So 3, negative 1 would work for the second example. The third example is, again, it's already solved. The first equation is solved for x. So I'm going to plug 2y minus 4 in for x right there. So I will get 2y minus 4 plus 8y is equal to 16. I plug this part in for x. So now I can solve this equation. This would be 10y minus 4 is equal to 16. Add 4 to both sides. I'm going to get 10y is equal to 20. So y is equal to 2. And then I can plug this y back into one of the equations at the top. You can plug it back into either equation and solve it for x. It's normally easier to plug it into the equations that is already solved for x. So I will get x is equal to 2 times 2 minus 4. So this would be x is 0. X is equal to 0. So my solution here will be the ordered pair 0, 2. So that would be the solution. Then I would plug it back in to see if that is true. It works for the first one. Then I can plug it in for the second one and get 0 plus 8 times 2 is 16, so it would work for the second. Okay, next slide. I want you to write this down at the top of your paper, at the top of your notes. I want you to write that down because you know that it is most definitely going to happen. Everybody knows that that is a true statement and it's going to happen. Okay, next slide, number 4 and 5. Practice 4 and 5. I want you to pause it here and try to solve these. These are difficult problems. So pause it and try to solve them. Okay, so together, let's work these out. Neither equation in number 4 here is solved for a variable at all. So I'm going to take this second equation and add 4y to both sides so that I can get this. I can get x is equal to 4y plus 11. Now when I get that, I'm going to substitute 4y plus 11 back in for x into the first problem. So the first problem will read 4y minus 5, and where the x was, which is right here, I'm now going to plug in 4y plus 11, and that's equal to 9. Okay, so now I'm going to solve. Now I just have one variable and it's a y for each one of those. So I'm going to solve this problem for y. I start by distributing negative 5, and I get this. And then this would be combined together to be negative 16y minus 55 equals 9. I'm going to add 55 to both sides. So it'll cancel out here, and I'll get negative 16y is equal to 64. And then that will be y is equal to negative 4. So y is equal to negative 4. And then I want to plug that back in. And I can plug this back in for y right there if I want to. That would be the easiest place to plug it back in. I could plug it back in here, here, or here. Any one of those three equations I can plug it back into. So I'll get x equals 4 times negative 4 plus 11. And then I solve that x is negative 16 plus 11. So x is equal to positive 5. So my solution here would be 5, negative 4. Okay, and then the last example is here. So try this one. Take a second and try it so you get it right. Originally I'm going to move this to the other side and solve this equation for y. So when I do that, I will get y is equal to 2x plus 8. Okay, now I have an equation that's solved for one variable, and I can plug this in for y into that equation. Okay, so that when I do that, that will look like this. 3x plus 2 times this whole quantity. I'm going to put this right in there. 2x plus 8 is equal to 9. And then I'm going to solve that equation for x. So it will look like this. 3x plus 4x, I'm distributing the 2, plus 16 is equal to 9. So I get 7x plus 16 is equal to 9. Subtract 16, subtract 16. 7x is equal to negative 7. So x is equal to negative 1. And then I'm going to take that, plug that back in for y. I'm going to plug, or excuse me, for x. I'm going to plug it back in right there. Hang on, let me do that in a different color. I'm going to do this, plug this back in for that x right there. Again, I can plug in for here, I can plug in here, or I can plug in here. Any of those three equations. So I do that and I get y is equal to 2 times negative 1. 2 times negative 1 plus 8. So I get y is equal to, that should be a y right there, y is equal to negative 2 plus 8, so y is equal to 6. Okay, so my answer here is negative 1 comma 6. And I should be able to plug that back in and check it and make sure that it's right by plugging it in for x and y in the original equation. And so if I plug in negative 1, I'll get 2 plus 6, that's 8, it works there. If I plug in negative 1 here, I get negative 3 plus 12, so it would work there as well. So that is the answer for number 5. So I want you to go back through and find the number of the problem that a mistake was made on. One of the answers is not correct. I want you to go back through and figure out which one that is and be able to tell me tomorrow in class.